good stuff.
I know.
Why are
I
we
don't
wasting
wanna
our
lose
time
the
doing
good
this?
stuff.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Paranormal Peeps podcast. We have a great episode for you today. But before we get into that, let's see who we got around the table today. To my left, we got...
Jamie.
And then Elisa.
And I'm Josh. So we are missing Terry and Mike tonight.
Yes, we're down 2.
So you guys will be missed and in our wonderful thoughts tonight. You guys have fun at whatever awesome event you guys are doing tonight.
I know, we kind of swapped places. I've been missing for a while.
She's back.
It's my turn.
She really just kicked them out.
Love you guys.
So tonight we are talking evil entities, demons, evil spirits, in some cases deities, gods from some cultures. So every culture kind of has their own evil entity, right? The thing that fights against the good side, so to speak. And so we're going to really kind of touch off and go around the world with this, which is going to be kind of a fun little travel thing. Later on a future episode, we'll get into the American Judeo-Christian demon side of things and get through some of those as well. For this one, we are going to go and reach out to the rest of the world.
Yeah, this one's been fun. There's been so many different types of entities. I mean, you get things from ghosts to creatures to demons.
Mm-hmm.
There's just the
Wide
history
variety.
behind this all.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a mix today.
Yep. And to start this off, I think we're going to start in Ireland with the Celtic deity, actually. We're going to talk about Baylor, and I really hope I got that right, and not the university, by the way.
Yeah, like coming from all these different countries and cultures, we might botch some names, so bear with us.
No, we will botch some names.
I guarantee it. So Baylor, or maybe Baller? Not sure. Please let us know if you guys know how to pronounce that. It's B-A-L-O-R, and it's Celtic. He was a Fomori, and the Fomori in Celtic mythology are demons that lived in the impenetrable darkness of the sea's depths and in lakes in dark pools in the upper world.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then they were defeated by a god race of, and this is where I'm going to butcher it, by the way, the Tuatha De Danann.
Sure.
That sounds great.
Right?
I don't know the difference.
You totally nailed it.
Yes.
I have no idea.
All right, so Baylor is said to be the son of Buar Nyanech. This is really bad, guys.
Following really closely.
Yes. Husband of Kethin Len and the grandson of Niet. He is a tyrant who opposes Ireland from his fortress on Tory Island. Baylor is described as a giant with an eye which wreaks destruction when opened.
Like when his eye is opened?
Yeah, so kind of like Cyclops.
So most time he just walks around with his eyes shut, or
His one eye shut, yeah.
He can start picking out some of it.
Yeah.
twitching.
It's like, imagine a giant Cyclops from X-Men. So, you know, that big laser eye.
I don't watch that. I haven't seen those.
You're missing out.
I know,
love
right?
X-Men.
Yeah,
Add
so
it to my list.
I would put it in like the more like Wolverine, like in that genre with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and then the Cyclops from that X-Men.
Okay, I'll watch. All you had to say was Hugh Jackman.
That's how I kind of imagine it anyway. If you look it up, you'll see some crazy renditions of this giant that's basically shooting lasers out of its eye.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
So the Koth Magturig calls it a destructive and poisonous eye that, when open, permits an entire army to be overwhelmed by a few warriors. It was said that 4 warriors had to lift the eyelid, which became poisonous after Balor looked into a potion being concocted by his father's druids. Later, folklore says that he has only one eye and describes it as follows. He had a single eye in his forehead, a venomous fiery eye. There were always 7 coverings over his eye. One by one, Balor removed the coverings. With the first covering, the bracken began to wither. With the second, the grass became copper-colored. With the third, the woods and timber began to heat. With the fourth, smoke came from the trees. With the fifth, everything grew red. With the sixth, it sparked. And with the seventh, they were all set on fire, and the whole countryside was ablaze.
Is that explain all the wildfires lately?
Oh, that might.
Everything's on fire.
Oh, he did it to us. Mm-hmm. So eventually, this Balor was actually killed. He was given a prophecy that he would be killed by his grandson. And so, to avoid this fate, he locks up his only daughter in a tower, to keep her from getting pregnant. And then one day, he steals a magic cow of abundance.
Does that mean like a fat cow?
Maybe it's a cow that magically just squirts milk everywhere. Or golden milk. Hey.
Chocolate milk.
And then he sees it. Oh, sorry. Cian, who was guarding the cow, sets out to get it back with the help of a druidess. Cian enters the tower, finds the daughter, has intercourse with her, because so much for the kiss on the lips, like wake the sleeping lady in the tower.
Sheesh.
Balor seizes Cian and puts him to death. But when his daughter gives birth to a son, Balor attempts to drown the child in the sea. Good gracious, this is awful.
Where did this story come from?
Grimm has nothing on this story.
Sounds like Hollywood.
And then, however, the child is saved by the sea god Manananan.
Makes me think of the Muppets. Phenomena.
And then he raised the child as a foster son who grows up to become Lug. Lug eventually becomes the king of Tuatha De Danann, right?
There's a lot of big words in here.
There's so many big words. But if you remember, that's the godlike race that killed off the Fomori.
Oh, yeah, because I remember that.
Yep. And so then he eventually has this big battle, and he ends up killing Balor by casting a spear crafted by another giant named Gyobinu.
Sorry.
And then Balor's eye ends up being destroyed. Oh, I'm sorry. Balor's eye destroys the Fomoran army, and then Lug beheads Balor. So essentially what ends up happening is Lug, he ends up getting that eye open and then basically turns it on, makes him turn it on his own people. And he kills his own people and then gets beheaded in the process.
Well, that sounds nice. But I guess that's not really what we're going for today, are we?
No.
We are not going for nice. So essentially, the demons that lived in the ocean were killed by the gods.
Okay.
So, has a happy ending. It's kind of like the David and Goliath story from the Bible, except a lot more gruesome.
Yep, a lot.
Right?
A lot more. Okay, so this one is from Pakistan, and it's called the jinn. So what it is it's an intelligent spirit. So we know, like, intelligent means they see you, interact with you, right? Mm-hmm. So it's an intelligent spirit who is able to possess humans and take human form. So the people, the Pakistani, turn to exorcism to help them. So here's some of accounts that they have had with that. So a girl in a long black skirt screams, and she's banging her head against the wall at the Sufi shrine in Pakistani city of Karachi. Karachi, something.
There are both ways.
Correct me if I'm wrong somewhere. Okay. And her family says that she's possessed by a demon. So the doctors couldn't help her. So they brought this college student, kicking and screaming, to be exorcised by the spirit of a saint. Sonia has been possessed since she was 6 years old, said her brother. Muhammad said, describing how an evil spirit known as a jinn would speak through her in a man's voice. That wouldn't be creepy.
Nope.
The shrine has captured the spirit. Sonia will be cured soon. None of us is leaving until that happens. So what I have found is that they will keep them there at the shrines for a long amount of time until they feel like they are cleansed from this jinn. So another account is this guy named Muhammad. He began having violent fits for 4 months. This 18-year-old is chained by his ankle to the wall. He sits silently, staring at others who are chained or are praying. And then they said, we want him to be close to the spirit of the saint. We had to have him chained so that he doesn't hit other people.
Oh, wow.
Because they're, quote, possessing them. So here's another one. Rahim Yar, who suffers from memory loss and extreme physical weakness, starts screaming. He has been at the shrine, which has marble floors and surrounded by a tomb of a Sufi saint, for 4 years. The jinn inside me says he needs to take me to India, to a temple where people are sacrificed. He says he will not leave me and I must be sacrificed. So
That sounds a lot like mental illness more so than...
I definitely agree.
Yeah, I agree.
But and mental illness is not something that is spiritually done. I mean, like, a doctor does need to help with that. And I think that's the lack of knowledge or help or whatever. But they consider it a spirit, the jinn spirit. And that if you have this and you are possessed, that you have to go to this temple or to a temple and be chained and stuck there until you change, until you are freed from this spirit.
Right. So they won't recognize it as a mental illness. They'll turn to the whole spiritual thing first.
Right.
And possession first.
Can you imagine being chained and stuck there
No.
for years?
No, it's almost like being a spectacle, or like because you're just like this prisoner on a wall, and people are coming to the temple to do their prayers or worship and stuff.
Right.
And there you are, just stuck, shackled to the wall. It'd be awful.
I mean, I think that would cause me to go crazy.
That alone, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, and then on top of it too, like, and I'm not saying this is what happens, right? But like, if you bind someone or put them in a cage or a cell, or
You can find them.
you can find them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you tell them day after day after day that there's this evil thing inside you, and then it needs to be cleansed, and it needs to be gone away. Eventually, like, the psychological damage of that,
You start
that
believing
takes a
it.
toll.
yeah, you're gonna start believing.
You hear it so much, you start believing it as reality.
Exactly.
Well, and if you come from an area that doesn't have the opportunities of getting help, then, I can see where that starts from. And you get this thought process of, oh, I know how to take care of it. Let's go to the
Right.
temple. That'll be something that I can do.
Right.
So, interesting enough, the jinn, that was on Supernatural.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. In fact, they have a few episodes where they come across a jinn.
Yeah, I think they come across the husband, the male jinn in one, and the female in another, right? Wasn't
Yeah,
it that
well, I
way?
think there's more than 2 episodes that deal with the jinn. So,
But they were different in that one, though.
yes.
Because it weren't those ones, didn't they, basically, their whole purpose was to eat you, essentially, right? To feast off of you, but they kept you in a dreamlike state, wasn't it?
I think that's the one.
Yeah, so that's different than this for sure.
Well, Supernatural is a documentary.
But
All
also
true.
I think of it, different countries, they can believe in the same type of entity, call it the same thing, but it does something different.
Yeah. And
So-
we'll actually come across that.
Yep. We'll talk about that later.
Yep, a little bit later.
Me now?
You're up.
You're up.
All right, so mine comes from Norway.
My motherland.
Your motherland, yes. So mine's called, and I may butcher this, but Huldra. So basically, they see her as an entity, like an evil entity. But this got kind of confusing. They also say she's a forest nymph with the ability to not only break a man's heart, but to also break his arm. So she's got some strength behind her.
Like an Amazon woman there.
Guys, beware. Anyways, she will often appear as this beautiful, enticing woman with this raw, natural elegance and a very seductive figure. She has amazing strength, and she can lift up huge rocks to smash you with, or she can even take a horseshoe and straighten it with her bare hands.
Jeesh.
Yeah, she got some muscle. But hidden by her natural or her irresistible features, there's an animal-like tail that's all kind of knotted that hides behind her. So, obviously you don't see it. And her back is as hollow as an old rotted tree.
Ew.
Gross.
She can sneak stuff into the movies. Just put that in your back.
Carry my Doritos. So she's constantly luring men to fall in love with her. She can even change her appearance. So she's trying to seduce a farmer, and she can change her appearance to make it look like she's his wife and seduce him in order to mate and have a child.
Well, the thing is, what I have noticed in looking at all of this, that's not an uncommon thing.
Right?
So I have one similar to that we'll talk about after, but...
Yeah, and you hear this a lot in different cultures, too. It's like a siren, basically. Because there was another article that on her that said that she lures them with her singing.
or it's like their singing or their beauty.
Yeah. Or sometimes both in some cases. So she's also able to be invisible, and that's why she seems to appear out of nowhere. So, and that's all I have on her. But a lot like the sirens.
Yeah. Sirens were Ireland, right?
Well, I mean
they've
they're
been-
in all different cultures.
Right. But we covered the sirens.
Well, you hear about sirens from sailors, too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, luring them into the rocks so their ships crash and they drown,
Yep.
Yeah.
So the one that I have next is kind of similar in that sense of the looks and the beauty. So this one's from Mexico, and it's the La Llorona, or the Weeping Woman. So this one I've got some personal accounts on, so that's going to be interesting to read. So this one, the Weeping Woman, is a beautiful woman named Maria. I've actually read a few different names, but Maria seems to be the more consistent one. So the story is, her name's Maria. She lives in a village, and she is so proud with how she looks that she refuses to marry any local men because she feels like, oh, they're just not good enough, right?
Right.
So one day, this handsome foreigner shows up to the village, and she decides that's the man I'm going to marry. They get married. He is a rich rancher, and over time, she bears 2 children. But their marriage becomes rocky, and one day she sees her husband with another woman, and in a fit of blind rage, she drowns their children in a river, because I think it was like, that's his most important prized possession, and I'm going to make you hurt the worst.
Oh.
And just out of blind rage, she drowns their children in a river, but which immediately after, she regrets it and cries out saying, "Oh, my children." But she's unable to save them, and consumed with guilt, she drowns herself as well, but is unable to enter heaven's gate. So she is forced to be in purgatory and roam the earth until she finds her lost children. So she is seen as a dark, shadowy figure dressed in white, floating over bodies of water. And she cries into the night for her kids. So the kind of scary part in that people can tell their kids or the story that goes around is that she kidnaps or attacks children and cheating husbands.
Dirty husbands, beware.
Yeah. So, but for many, she's called the Boogie Woman, used to scare children into good behavior or to not play by the water. A man named Hayes grew up in a small town, and he said, I knew it from my childhood. We all grew up thinking that she was from our little town. It is so commonly told that every community has their own version of the story. So in these personal accounts, I'm going to tell you kind of how they have their own version of it. So, and that kind of reminds me of Bloody Mary, because I grew up in Payson, and I remember people saying like, oh, Bloody Mary is she died in Payson Canyon. And like there, but there's Bloody Marys everywhere.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think if it really was from Payson, it would be really well known that it was from Payson.
Right.
Right. So anyway, here's this personal account. It says, one night, just like any other night, I lived in a trailer with my mom and my dad. My youngest brother was staying with my aunt that night. I fell asleep watching Jay Leno as usual, and when I woke up, I was on the sofa in my living room. The time was 4 a.m., which illuminated on the stove in the kitchen. The television was off, and I normally had a light on, but this time it was pitch black. I woke up and I heard horrible screaming that was coming from a far distance. The screaming was coming from the ditch that was just a few feet away from my home. I heard it, and I thought I was hearing things. I asked myself, am I dreaming? Then I started to hear the animals outside howling and whimpering. These animals that I speak of are just cats and dogs. As the screaming got closer, the animals continued to cry. The screaming was something I'd never experienced ever before. It sounded like I was in a big hallway and a woman was screaming her guts down the hallway. Then, in all the screaming, I started to make out words. These words being said by whomever this was at 4 a.m., screaming their guts out, shocked me. The woman said, "Oh, my children." Now, if you remember, that's what she said when she drowned her children. So, in a huge panic, I quickly got up from the sofa, ran to the kitchen, which was right next to where I was asleep. I turned on the closest light and I looked around, which I think you would normally do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You're freaked out, you hurry and run and find a light switch, turn it on. But the screaming didn't stop. In fact, the screaming only got louder and closer. I questioned my sanity at that moment. Now, here's the thing. I think anybody would, right? Because
Right.
that's so not normal.
Yeah.
Something out of the norm. And you're like, okay, am I dreaming still? Is this real? Like, is this realistic? What is this, right? Trying to make
Yeah.
sense of it. Your brain's just trying to make sense. He said, was I going crazy or hearing things? Then I thought to myself, this is real. The animals are responding to it in a negative way, which also does happen. So I did what any other 11-year-old boy would do in a moment like this. I ran to my mom and dad's room. I reached for my mom and shook her awake wildly. I woke up slowly, and to my amazement, the screaming had faded away as she woke up. And I thought to myself, what the heck is going on? I told my mom, did you hear that? The screaming and crying lady? The mom was half asleep, and she said, go back. It's probably just your imagination. I would totally do that.
I would too.
Now they can sleep.
You're dreaming.
I'm
Go back
so
to bed.
tired. I'm finally to the point where I can sleep through the night, and so wake me up. And he told her, no, this is real. Please don't go back to sleep. Did you hear her? Just listen. And then his mom quickly said, you're dreaming. Just go back to sleep. It's going to be fine. By then, the screaming had faded long away. Like if whoever was screaming knew that an adult was awake. Okay, so here's the thing. So I have sleep paralysis. I get that. I don't get it near as often as I did when I was a teenager. I got it all the time as a teenager, every night. But when I do get it, I notice that if I wake up my husband, then it fades away. I'm wide awake. I haven't fallen asleep yet. I'll get it when I'm wide awake. And my husband will be out cold. But if I wake him up, it's like disappears.
Isn't that strange though?
Yeah, because and who knows, I don't know, but I kind of feel like when you encounter something like an evil entity, they want to single you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly.
And so,
You're more vulnerable.
right? So when you are getting someone else's attention, someone with a body,
Yep.
when you're getting someone else's attention,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I'm not going to do that. And it backs off. It's rare that I ever find something where an evil entity is like, oh, another one. Let's work with two of them.
Right?
Let's have fun.
Yeah. Like it's rare that I see that.
It's scary though.
I don't know if I've really ever seen that.
Yeah. It's scary. I've only experienced sleep paralysis twice, and it's woken me up out of dead sleep. And I'd be flat on my back, and I'd feel like an evil presence in the room, and I can't scream, and I can't move, and I can kind of look over at
Right. It's
my
like I can move
husband.
my eyeballs.
Yeah, and that's about it. But I'm like inside, I'm internally screaming, but nothing's coming out, and I'm trying to wake, my husband up, and it's not working. But I don't see anything in the room with me. I just feel this really dark, menacing presence.
Yes. Yeah. And that's really common with sleep paralysis,
Yeah.
right? For me, when I'm wide awake, when it happens, it does happen when I'm asleep as well. But when I'm wide awake, I feel it start at my feet and go up my body.
Oh, weird.
And so I know, and it goes quick. It's pretty quick. I would say within 5 seconds.
Oh my.
So, and if I don't catch it in that 5 seconds, I'm frozen and I'm stuck and I have to go through the whole experience until it's over. And then,
It's like pure dread and panic.
yeah. So as soon as it starts going, I'm like, I start shaking him awake. I'm like, wake up. And he's like, you good? I'm like, no, I'm good.
I'm good now.
I'm good now. Okay. So back to this story. I find it pretty realistic. I find this like a pretty
Plausible.
Yeah, plausible thing. So here is another account. He said, I was about 9 or 10 years old, and it took place in Central America, in El Salvador, to be precise. And this is from their grandma. So it says, my grandma one day was supposed to meet up with her friend to go to another friend's wake, so funeral. So back then, people would stay all night mourning at the wake with their deceased, which I feel like that would be exhausting.
It would be.
That'd be exhausting.
Yeah.
I mean, like emotionally, physically, all the things. So she said, my grandma was waiting for her friend when they had agreed to meet, which happened to be near a little river or a creek. She sees this woman from far away, all in white, and my grandma says it looked just like her friend, and her name was Mary. So she starts following this woman, calling out for her, thinking that it's her friend, and she followed her by the river and then kept calling out, but no answer. It starts getting creepy when the woman goes towards the trees, and my grandmother started catching up, but as she was getting closer, she started to feel what she says is her shoulders were big and her head felt big, and she couldn't move anymore, like it was just too much. She was close enough to see the woman's face and that it was covered by a veil, and said that the woman's face was a skull. My grandmother somehow came out of her shock, because that would be very shocking. You'd sit there and be like, oh, crap.
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of
That is not what I thought it was. And ran out as fast as she could. She said she felt as if she was running slow and wasn't getting away fast enough. Now, this to me feels like a dream. Have you ever dreamt about you're running away and you feel like you're just moving through mud?
Very
in slow
slow.
motion.
Yeah.
For me, it's like if I'm in my dream, if I'm trying to get an attacker, I'm always going for the face and I'm punching, and it's like, do slow, and then boom.
Yeah.
And like that didn't do anything. But she said, these stories always give me the chills, but have always been fascinating. She states that it was the Llorona, or the weeping woman, because she was walking by the river dressed in white. So yeah, these just crazy experiences that these people have with La Llorona.
Right. And you can go look it up too.
Yep.
There's BuzzFeed episode on that. BuzzFeed Supernatural, I believe.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's obviously you started with Mexico, but then you ended up in Latin America. So it's one of those stories that is pretty much like all throughout, at least from my understanding, the Latin community in itself.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's many different stories.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What I find interesting, though, is you mentioned purgatory in that. Mm-hmm. Well, if you guys know about the religious nature of the Latin communities. They're very heavily Catholic.
Right.
And so the Catholics have this purgatory mindset. And so it's very, you can almost date that story into the time frame when like the conquistadors came over, they settled, they ended up settling the Mexico and Central America. So that Judeo-Christian influence came along with it. And so, it's at least recent within the, last 500 years.
Yeah.
Unlike this next one, which is going to come to us from the first millennium BC.
Jeesh, that's old.
Yeah. So we're talking 3,000 years ago.
Probably going to be our oldest one.
I think so.
Yeah.
This is actually Assyrian or Babylonian, and it is Pazuzu. He's a demonic god who was most popular, obviously, in the first millennium BC. He was the son of Hanbi, god of the demons of the underworld, and brother of Humbaba, the demon god, protector of the cedar forest. And you can find that in the Epic of Gilgamesh, who was killed by the heroes. He was the demon of the underworld, where all demons were thought to reside, in control of the west and the southwest winds, which brought famine during the dry season, and in the rainy season, tearing storms and locusts. He was the force behind the destructive winds and their threat. He was also considered the best defense against them. So, like, wait, what now?
Yeah.
And I'll get a little more into that here in a little bit. Similar in the way to the Egyptian god Set, prayers to Pazuzu were intended to divert his natural inclination towards destruction to more benevolent ends of protection. Since it was clear he had great power to harm, it was also thought he was equally potent in protecting one from the very danger he presented. So it's almost like very vengeful or wrathful, right? Like,
right.
Pay attention to me, and then I'll be nice to you. But if you don't...
Keep your enemies closer.
Yeah. If you don't, I'm going to just rain locusts on you, and you'll love that. And so Pazuzu is the most famous Mesopotamian demon in the present day. And you're like, well, that's kind of weird, right? Well, he actually made its presence in Hollywood. So if you guys have seen the movie Exorcist, the gal that, splits pea soup everywhere and head spins around, she was supposed to be haunted by the demon Pazuzu. So the interesting thing about all of these is, like, even though, like, he was considered the most benevolent of the supernatural beings in ancient Mesopotamia, he was certainly regarded as an evil demon. He was not evil incarnate and was frequently invoked for protection from evil. So it's kind of interesting, like, the Mesopotamian gods and demons, they were kind of like both evil and good at the same time.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you had a problem with this god or demon over here, you could pray to this one, and this one would protect you from that one. And it's like, that's just weird.
That's a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot of just like, wow, that's something. But, you're also talking about ancient times too, right? So, like, it's 3,000 years ago, deities, the monotheistic religions were pretty prominent in the world at that time, like the Egyptians and Babylonians
and worshiping all these different kinds of gods. And
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, and that's just kind of how that process went. And so in the Assyrian culture, they were both evil and good, which is almost humanic in a way.
Yeah, because you can't have one without the other.
Exactly.
So mine is the Caribbean, the Jumbi. So the general idea is that people who have been evil are destined to become instruments of evil, called the Jumbi, in death. So when they die, they become Jumbis. They come in the shape of a darker, sinister figure. And different countries across the Caribbean have different concepts of Jumbis. So Jumbis are said to possess people during ceremonies called the Jumbi dances, which are accompanied by Jumbi drums. Do you see a pattern? So let me read that again. I'm just kidding. So 4 couples perform a set of 5 progressively quicker quadrilles during the Jumbi dance, and switching out with other couples until someone is eventually possessed by a Jumbi. I don't know why you'd do that on purpose. But Jumbis receive numerous small offerings, such as a few drops of rum or food, and they are also subject to numerous superstitions. It's believed that the spirits separates from the body 3 days after death, at which the point that the havoc begins. One is called the Trill, something like that. In the Caribbean, it is an evil spirit of a woman who has died at childbirth, but her child lived. She's tormented by the separation from her child and cries in grief. She haunts and terrorizes pregnant women and newborn babies. A Trill resembles a human woman, but then her feet are turned backwards.
Ah.
Yeah.
That can't be good.
Ouch.
And other features are sometimes upside down. So you know how we talk about evil entities and something's always missing.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
never whole.
They're never whole.
Or they're never right.
Yep.
Yes. So that's what this reminds me of. And they have the ability to change their form and look beautiful. And you have a theme going on with these women. Or
Never trust a good-looking woman.
what are you saying about me? I'm just kidding. So they can change their form and look beautiful or normal to lure young men to their deaths. They are often met at crossroads or fields. Okay, so now there's the Dutchman Jumbi. It is considered the most frightening of the Jumbis. Now, there's a lot. If you look this up, there's a lot of different kind of Jumbis. I really had to just narrow it down to these ones. But there are quite a few different. So the Dutchman Jumbi is considered the most frightening out of all of them and is blamed for the most evilest acts. According to the stories, during the 1500s, the Dutch used to kill slaves and bury them with their treasures to act as guards for these items. The Dutchman Jumbis are the Dutchmen who did the killing, and in death, they were brought back to the Caribbean. And there are trees called the Dutchman trees, and these stories are to say that if one climbs these Dutchman trees or cuts at it, the Dutchman Jumbi will cause them to fall, break their neck, their spine, get violently ill, or have extremely bad karma. So I don't know if it's because these trees are planted over where they're buried, or they didn't say anything of that kind, but yeah, so there's these Dutchman trees that don't climb them. I don't know what they look like, but don't climb them.
Just don't climb trees.
Well, if you don't climb, you can't fall.
That's
True.
true.
So yeah, there's different kinds of Jumbis. Again, it's the same name, but different stories depending on where you're from.
Interesting.
Now, is it where you're from on the island or where
Yeah.
you're from in the Caribbean as a whole?
Well, I think the Caribbean as a whole.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder how much some of that stuff was brought up due to the trading that would happen, like the Dutch East Indies and stuff like that. How many of those, like,
Oh, I'm sure they were
Things come
swapping
out.
stories and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm up.
Oh, guess what?
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 There's more.
Wait, there's more.
How to avoid them.
Oh, we need to know this.
Okay.
Jump into the ocean, swim away.
Oh, no, because the one I got next, you don't want to jump in the ocean.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That one will just come after you. Okay. Remember the woman who has her feet backwards, right? Okay. So to avoid them, you put on a pair of shoes. And you don't put on a pair of shoes. Let's go back. You put a pair of shoes outside your front door. And for the Jumbis who either have no feet or backwards feet, they will try to put the shoes on all night rather than entering the house. So they say that they'll follow you. So if there's a man coming home late, that Jumbi's going to follow him. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll walk backwards to their house so they can't be followed.
Ah.
So walk backwards late at night back to your house and leave shoes out at the front by your front door, so they'll get distracted and want to put on those pairs of shoes, but they can't because they either have no feet or they're backwards. And then if one is chasing you, you can run across a river because they can't follow you over water.
Or just stop closing down the bars and coming home late.
Right? Well, I can't imagine, like, couldn't you just run home fast? Because if they got their feet
Backwards
are backwards,
feet or
like,
no
Can
feet.
you imagine
can you walk?
if they got little nubbins, how you gonna go?
Exactly. Just run really, really fast.
Or like if they have to run across the river, you're gonna encounter the weeping woman.
Right?
You're doomed.
You're just screwed,
You're
guys.
toast.
Can't climb a tree because, I mean, you know.
I would just build a moat around my property.
You can't cross that moat.
that's
Okay,
too
so
good.
that's the end of that one.
Okay, so the one I have is one from Norway again. And I'm probably going to butcher this, the Dragon. So the Dragon is a wicked water ghost entity. They're said to be ghosts of sailors or fishermen who have lost their lives while at sea. So they're doomed to haunt the waves. And in the tales, any man who takes to the sea, they, obviously they dread meeting up with this entity. The Dragon is described as being very monstrous in size, so very large, and always covered with lots of seaweed. Lots
So
of
you're talking
slimy.
about like Pirates of the Caribbean.
So he is only seen after dark and on stormy seas. He's always seen rowing the remnants of his shattered boat. So this reminds me of Jack Sparrow.
Totally
As he's
does.
coming into
Oh, yeah.
the dock and his boat's like sinking. And he's like right up on the mast.
Yeah,
and
and he just steps right
steps
off
right on
onto
the deck. Yeah.
Best movie entrance ever.
Right. So the legend states that unlucky sailors that will encounter him are first alerted to his presence by his terrible screams. I mean, that would be just bone chilling if you're out at sea on a dark, stormy sea and you just heard these loud screams of like terror. Or, I mean, they don't describe what kind of screams they are, but
They do not.
they just say loud.
Yeah, I would poo.
I would.
And that's why they call it a poop deck.
Named after you. So, if sailors encounter the Dragon, it will drag their boats down to the depths of the sea, and the men on board will then all drown. And then some of those unfortunate victims will then be condemned to become Dragons themselves. So, and there's only one way to escape the terrible fate. The sailor or sailors must reach the shore before the Dragon. But there's in one classic tale, even though the sailor wins the race to the beach, the Dragon continues to pursue him. The sailor, out of desperation, enters a dark churchyard and beseeches the spirits of the dead to protect him. Unfortunately, he's never seen again, but the next day, the townsfolk find the graves in the churchyard emptied and covered in seaweed. So today, the Dragon is often associated with anything dark or mysterious about the sea, and it's a well-known mythical entity or creature from northern Norway.
Which is funny because that is where my family's island is actually located. Is in northern Norway.
Your family has an island?
We came from an island.
Oh,
Yeah,
we looked it up online.
it's
It's abandoned.
It's abandoned. It's in Vorøy, and it is the Mosted Island. Yeah, it's in the northern tip. It's just this. Vorøy is an island. I don't say community, county, or however they have the stuff done up in Norway. So it's just a group of islands. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so my family has an island that's just really tiny and small. It's beautiful, though. Oh
How
my
cool.
gosh!
We hope to go there someday to see
Someday.
it. Yeah, but also with the Dragon, they say that he becomes this monstrous entity and creature because he wasn't buried in holy ground.
So
So he becomes this monster and this entity.
I wonder if by going to the cemetery, he's burying himself
Yeah,
in holy ground.
yeah.
That's an interesting thought. I wonder how many shipwrecks or like lost at sea pieces have been blamed on this entity.
Well, it's kind of like the Bermuda Triangle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
like getting lost at sea in the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, it's two things they blame it on. They could blame it on something like the Drogen or sea monster.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of those too, sea creatures taking
Yeah.
down boats and ships and
I don't think it's uncommon amongst seafaring folk, right?
oh no.
Oh, I'm sure they've got their stories for sure.
Oh, yeah. And there are tales of giant fish that were this big. Really this big. It's really, this big. For all of those at home, my hands are really close together.
Okay, so the next one that I have is from the Netherlands, and they call it Old Red Eyes or the Beast of Flanders. So it's said to have to be 7 foot tall and a black clothed man who changed into a large black dog with fiery red eyes. In more recent times, he has taken the form of a dark shadow figure with red eyes whose late evening appearance is usually followed by a menacing dog's growl. We hear growls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been
Yes.
growled at.
Yes, you have.
Yeah. I've been hissed at. I don't know if I've been truly growled at, but yeah.
Yeah, I've been growled at, hissed at, you name it. But the legend began in the Flanders region of Belgium in the late 17th century after reports of children who went missing and were believed to be the victims of cannibalistic shapeshifter. Witnesses claim to have seen a large, naked black man running away, and I think black man as like a black shadowy thing.
Not race.
Not a race. Could be, but that's kind of how I picture it. Running away after trying to steal a young girl from her bed. He was shot at and seen to change into a large black dog. A homeless man was soon found living near, okay, this is where I'm going to botch it, near Neckarspol, and without trial was lynched and skinned alive. The skin is said to be buried in the basement of St. Rumble's Cathedral in Mechelen. From the early 18th century until present, a ghostly dark figure with fiery red eyes has been seen in Mechelen and surrounding areas. It is said that he seeks his skin to become whole again as the demonic figure he once was. During the 20th century, the ghostly being became known as the Necker, or Die Necker, or the Necker, as part of the story to be told to children who stayed up late past their bedtime, and that they'd be eaten alive if they didn't go to sleep. Now that's spooky. Who tells their kids that?
Good parents. That is good parenting right there.
Oh,
Like,
geez.
you want your kid to stay in bed at night? The boogeyman will eat you. The Necker will eat you. The La Llorona will get you. Like, just whatever you got to tell them to keep their butts in bed.
Oh my gosh.
Good parenting right there.
Yeah, that's
Straight.
A+. Learn some lessons, guys.
Scar some kids for life, but keep them in bed.
You wonder why they have bad dreams.
Right? All right. So the next one I got, and I will not butcher this name because I looked it up and I made sure I was going to pronounce it right. Mainly because this comes from a Native American tribe called the Abenaki, which is my tribal affiliation. So
cool.
yeah. So not only am I Norwegian by nature, have an island, I also have tribal affiliation. This one comes from my dad's side, so it's paternal in that avenue. But this is the Giwakwa if it's male, or Giwakweswa if it's female. So this actually has gender, which is different than most, like, what you consider demons to be, like, non-gender specific.
Yeah, it's
Right.
more like a thing or
Yeah.
an image.
Right.
Or, yeah, black form.
Black form. This one is actually more human in nature. This behemoth stood tall as the tallest white pine, and tore these huge trees from the ground to smash and swat humans. They are differing details for what Giwakwa look like, but it's said that they rolled in balsamic balsamic.
Balsamic vinegar. You
what I
got
was
some
like.
bread, some salt and pepper.
Yeah,
Just dip it
exactly.
right in there.
balsam fir sap, picking up the clutter from the forest floor, making them a hulking mass of indiscriminate forest covered in brush, bones, and insects. When the doomed turned their eyes upward, the Giwakwa's glowing eyes were matched in glint by the gleam of their malicious white teeth that they used to tear into the humans wandering through the forest. Often these monsters are depicted as having a heart of ice or a human-shaped ice block in their stomach. This ice can sometimes be thawed by clever folk heroes, returning the monster to human form, as many of these giants were individuals who were cursed either through malevolence or by committing a heinous crime like cannibalism.
Sounds like Frozen with Anna and Elsa, where her heart freezes.
Yeah.
We got it thawed out.
Yeah, except she, wasn't cannibalistic and started eating people.
Can you imagine that on Disney?
They could make another one. You don't know.
Yeah, Tim Burton would have to do that one.
Right?
The Nightmare Before Frozen.
Right.
What they don't tell you.
Yeah.
Right. So the interesting thing about this is being Native American folklore, right? And so the Abenaki are part of 5 tribes, which were the 5 Wabanaki tribes. So they all have actually similar creatures to this. But there's also other tribes in that same region, which would be, for those, the New England area, and then southeast Canada. So it would be like Nova Scotia and I think Quebec.
And that's where I come in.
Yes.
So in Canada, they call it the Wendigo. So, and it has similar things to it, and you'll see. So it's an evil human-like demon who is believed to be the First Nation tribes of the Great Lakes region of Canada, can turn humans into cannibals by possessing them. So the Wendigo is known to invoke feelings of insatiable greed, hunger, the desire to be or to cannibalize other humans, as well as the propensity to commit murder in those that fall under its influence. So Wendigo is described as a giant humanoid, like the same, with a heart of ice instead of a stomach, and has a foul stench or sudden unseasonable chill might precede its approach. So similar things.
Yep.
There are like things that match but also different. It was thought that a human could also become a Wendigo just by participating in cannibalism, and as such it was considered preferably by the native people to kill yourself rather than resort to cannibalism if the necessity should arise.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, that's a little...
I mean, if you thought that you were going to become a cannibal, then
Well,
you kill yourself, I guess. I mean, is that a common thing to want to be a cannibal?
no, but I think like you're talking about a time like where there maybe food got really scarce, and so
True.
if you're stuck in a hut with 3 people and those 2 die and you're out of food and water, and the only thing you got left is either
Eat that person or die.
Well, it's the need and the instinct to want to survive,
Right.
right?
So they're basically saying, kill yourself first, which it's not a bad concept on that avenue. Those who have committed cannibalism, who are regular cannibals, there's actually some like things that happen to your body and to your brain. Like it starts to like go, deteriorate, and you start to kind of go insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Isn't that what mad cow disease was? Was they were feeding cows?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Ew.
So
They're feeding cow byproducts to cows.
yeah, and the cows just went weird.
Yeah.
It was awful.
But here's an interesting thought, though. Not the cow part, by the way.
No, I know. We're moving on.
But you have multiple Native American tribes in that region that have seen basically the same thing. Essentially, they just give it a different name. It also goes by Chino, Kiwakwa. It all depends on what tribe that you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
What are they seeing? And I had a theory on this one. What if they're actually seeing Bigfoot? So
What we call Bigfoot.
What we call Bigfoot,
Yeah.
right? So what if what we call Bigfoot is a Giwakwa, which is an actual creature, like not a maybe demon in this avenue or someone who was, was resorted to cannibalism or some evil act to be changed into it, but is actually an actual creature. Because if you look at it, tall creature, maybe 8-9 feet tall as a pine, right? That's roughly what they can claim a male Bigfoot is the size of.
Right.
Yeah. So the Wendigos, they see it as a little bit differently. So they say they're extremely tall, emaciated, with yellow rotting skin.
Ooh.
Yeah,
And
not quite the same, right?
So not hairy.
Right. Not hairy. So rotting skin, sunken eyes, and they hang out in freezing forests. Hence the frozen eye, the frozen
heart, yeah.
And looking for people who might be starving enough to eat another person. So they say the Wendigo was also a symbol of greed, and the legend was clearly terrifying for some. So in 1907, a Cree chief and medicine man named Jack Fiddler and his brother Joseph were charged with murdering 14 people. The brothers claimed that they were all Wendigos, or about to turn into them. And despite the widespread appeals for his release, Jack either hung himself or died of consumption. Different sources say different things. Soon after, at the age of 87. So there's similarities, but there's also differences.
Yeah.
So
Right.
who knows?
Yeah. And some of that just sounds more like, hey, don't do bad things. Like, don't eat each other.
Don't eat people.
Right. Don't eat people.
You wouldn't think you'd have to say that.
right?
Right?
But, there's other ways, like, to become a Giwakwa. Like, there's other ways other than, like, eating somebody. You could turn into one by forcibly starving a person and essentially causing your heart to turn to ice, right? So just being a cold-hearted human being would be enough to turn you into this type of creature.
And I also kind of wonder if it's also like if there's some imbalance in your brain somewhere, right? Where have you ever noticed like sometimes like as a pregnant woman you have all these weird cravings, right?
All the time.
Soup. I know you get that, Josh.
You can so relate, right?
I can.
Yes.
From my pregnant belly right now.
But you have all these different cravings when you're going through these different hormonal imbalances or whatever. But I watched this documentary on where this guy, he had these cravings of just wanting to eat somebody. Just these cravings. And I'm like, there's got to be something different going on in that brain
Some
to make
wires
you
are crossed or something.
have that thirst for
Yeah.
a human. Like, he would look at girls and be like, oh man, you just look so tasty.
Oh.
See, sometimes like guys say that because they think a girl is attractive.
No, but and see,
No.
and that's what they talk about. They're like, you would think it was because she was beautiful and he just wanted to be with her, right? But no, he was like, I'll make you think that that's what I want,
To lure you in.
but in reality, I want to eat you.
I'll take a bite out of you.
So
literally.
he waited until she was asleep and bit her because he'd never eaten anyone before.
Yeah.
And bit her, and she woke up and took off and got in trouble. He got released and he did it again. But like, blows my mind. So I just wonder if there's some sort of like imbalance.
Well, there's got to be, right? Because that's definitely not the norm.
You know how like kids want to eat dirt, like give them some iron, give them some,
Right.
whatever. So I don't know.
Well, that's like there was this show that's on, and every week they'd feature somebody who has these weird cravings. There's this one woman who would eat dryer sheets.
Oh yeah, I've seen one where this lady would. Okay,
Yeah.
no, this one's worse. She would suck on diapers.
Oh, you were telling us about this.
Her neighbors would give her fresh diapers, and she would have one by her bedside.
Like fresh, dirty diapers?
Yes.
Used? Okay.
Used, fresh. That's what she calls fresh diapers. Used. And there's like pee soaked, and she would sit there and suck on it
Oh, my word.
as she's cooking her dinner.
Why bother with dinner? You got a diaper in your mouth.
my gosh.
Give her some of those amniotic diapers, those first ones, those
Oh,
tar
no,
filled. Oh, she'd be in
no.
heaven.
But here's the thing. She had a boyfriend. Can you imagine kissing that face?
Okay. My gag reflex is going to kick in here
You're
soon.
right.
I'm like
Little off
visualizing
topic.
this.
Moving on.
Oh,
That
my
is definitely
goodness.
weird.
That's
Yeah.
definitely weird. I have one really short one, again from Norway. It's called the Noken. I think that's how you pronounce it.
We'll
How
go
do you
with that.
pronounce the little O with the slash through it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay, Noken. Okay, so the Noken is an eerie male creature, and it dwells by the rivers and ponds and lakes. He's been common in Norwegian folklore since the Norse times, and it is a manifestation of the dangers associated to the water. So he can also shift shapes and is known to lure people to him and then drown them. So the only way to protect yourself against Noken is to call him by his name, and he is especially powerful after sunset.
So what we have is a story to keep kids away from the beach and from the water
Well,
at night, right?
Not like oceans, no, but rivers, streams, lakes.
Well, it still makes sense though. Like,
So
you-
yeah, so
you could
it's
easily drown.
That's
at
where he
night.
dwells in ponds. That's
Right.
where he dwells, yeah. So especially after sunset.
So don't go skinny dipping in the dark.
No, don't go skinny dipping.
don't do that.
Just don't.
Oh, pond scum.
In weird places.
Ew. So another one that I have is from Japan. And so I was talking with my friend Maki. She's my best friend. She lives in Japan. And she was telling me that this is something that she was terrified as a child. So it's called kasha, and it steals the corpses of those who have died as a result of accumulating evil deeds. So do a lot of bad stuff. You die and become a kasha. So they steal the corpses from funerals and cemeteries and take their souls to hell. Some say it has the identity of a large cat. And you know how, so Japanese culture, they like cats, right? They have a lot of the things that you can look at their stores, they're cats that have their little hand that waves, or the little
Yeah,
head
and
that
the little like
bobs, or
flowers.
Hello
Yeah.
Kitty is
Hello-
huge.
right?
Yeah.
So some say that when a cat grows old, it turns into one. In a way to protect the corpses at the temple that the kasha lives near, a funeral is performed twice. And they put a rock inside the coffin for the first funeral, and you chant, "I will not let kasha feed on this," and you say it twice. When it does appear, it will be accompanied by a harsh lightning and rain. So, another part of this story, they call it a manto or red cloak. And it's one of the more popular demons, and it hides in women's bathrooms. If you are there and you see him, he will ask you, would you like a red cloak or a blue cloak? If the woman answers red, it will tear the skin from your back
Ah.
and make it look like she's wearing a red cloak. If she answers blue, then he will strangle her to death.
So it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
So if you see a guy in the bathroom, in the girls' bathroom, the women's bathroom, and ask what kind of cloak would you like,
I don't want one.
just kick
Nope.
him in the junk and run.
So aka manto, red cloak. I don't.
Yikes.
I don't want anything ripped off my back
No.
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 or be strangled to death. I mean,
No
that
thanks.
just sounds terrible.
But if your skin's ripped off your back, do you still survive? I mean, you could survive
guess
that,
you
but
would.
if you say
I
blue
guess
cloak
it's
and he
like-
strangles you.
I guess it's like the Japanese version of Bloody Mary.
Yeah, I could see the similarities.
Because, like Bloody Mary for here, it's like you go into the bathroom, comes through the mirror, you
Yep.
say Bloody Mary 3 times or whatever, and something happens, but it's female. But for them, it's like a male version. I don't know how it shows up or how it is conjured, but
yeah, like are these women? Well, no wonder women go to bathroom together, right?
pairs,
in
right?
pairs or groups.
Maybe
What are
won't
you
show up.
really up to?
Maybe it won't show up.
Supervision.
right?
Yeah.
But what if you don't engage, though? I mean, that's an interesting concept, right? Like, if it's like, what cloak would you like? You're like, I'm out the door.
Right? Yeah, it doesn't
Just
say.
ignore them.
Yeah. So you walk in the bathroom, there's a dude in there. You're like, I'm out.
Yep.
Right?
I think that would be any woman's idea.
Reaction, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We would just turn around and walk out.
Yeah.
Or
I'll
just-
pee my pants. I don't care. I'm good.
All right. So here's an interesting thing. So we're talking about evil entities and demons and those things, right? And it's a demon is a term that we've grown accustomed to, right? We don't give too much thoughts about where the terminology comes from. So here's the interesting thing: is the term demon in the modern day always carries this negative connotation of evil, right? But it wasn't that way always in the ancient world. So the English word demon is a translation of the Greek word daemon, which is simply meant spirit. So a daemon could be good or evil, depending on its intentions and the results of a visitation.
So I get like we have made it a separate, in this time, this age, we've made it separate as a demon is bad.
Right.
So that's interesting.
And technically in the Greek term, it just meant spirit.
I'll be darned.
So it's a word that we've morphed and made
Into
into
something
something
dark.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, it's a neat little thing because, especially when you start studying ancient culture, right, or
Yeah.
ancient things, especially like we talked about Assyrian and Pazuzu, and some of these other spirits that are the jinn is a very old spirit, right? I bet you could find connotations back to probably the 1st century A.D. or
Right.
you probably could because that would be Assyria. But in the Pakistani culture, right? So you're talking hundreds of years, thousands of years. you
Yeah.
know.
But
able
then
to
they
find
talk
that.
about it like in the scriptures, they say like demon as in like Satan's worshippers.
Right.
And that in the Bible was written long
Long
ago.
time ago.
Well, right, but you're talking about New Testament at that point in time, and in the New Testament that was written actually in the Roman era after the Greeks, so that would actually put in the right context of
Right.
of that word usage.
Right. So you can see how it's developed over time.
Yep, because the Old Testament talks about not worshiping false idols, right? Doesn't talk about demon. Doesn't talk about. I mean, at least I haven't found any mention of that word in the Old Testament. Maybe I'm wrong, and it's entirely possible. But I'm pretty sure that it's mainly a New Testament piece, which would put us into that realm.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting context in that avenue. So, do you guys have any more?
Nope. That's all of mine.
I came across one for Switzerland. So, and I just read a short little thing on it, so
Yeah, go ahead.
I can just kind of
Yeah,
throw that out there. So basically, winters in Switzerland and stuff, they have these creatures that live up in the mountains. And when these creatures get bored, it's said that they come down to the local villages and they terrorize the women and children. So every winter, about February 2nd or 3rd, the men of the village will put on masks, like creature masks, these really scary looking masks that are carved out of wood, and they use like the teeth from like goats and cows and the hair from goats, poor goats, to make these masks. And they will go around the village kind of mimicking these creatures. And they do this because it's said that if they do this, that they will get an early spring and a prosperous spring.
I wonder, does it keep them away at the same time?
I think it's supposed to. It didn't really say, but I think that's the general idea, is that by them going through the village with these, it sends these creatures back up into the mountains, into the snowy mountains, and allows spring to commence.
It's their Groundhog's Day.
It is.
Yeah,
Because isn't
It
Groundhog's
definitely
Day
is.
in February?
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah. So,
So it's a mixture of Groundhog's Day and Halloween.
The creepy version of Groundhog's Day.
right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the movie Groundhog's Day like that?
No.
Over
Let's-
and over
Let's
again?
get M. Night Shyamalan to do it. Oh. It could be a creepy movie.
I do, however, want to see his new movie that he brought out. Old?
Oh, yeah. That looks good.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that.
Yeah, I don't know
Elisa's
anything
I
about
don't
it.
know.
What is this?
We will we'll discuss it afterwards.
Yeah. So,
So we want, we just want to thank everybody for coming and joining and sitting with us, and as we talk about evil spirits from around the world. Hope you enjoyed the trip around the globe, and had some fun with us. You guys can find us out on Facebook. Where at?
I don't know where at. No help from me.
No help from my wife. So you can find us at Cold Spot Paranormal Research.
Yes.
And then, of course, you can always find us at the Paranormal Peeps podcast page. Come like our stuff.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Let's get our listeners up. Let's make sure we enjoy all of you wonderful people, and let us know how we're doing.
Yeah, only nice feedback, though.
Please. And if you got if there are some things that that you don't quite like about what we're doing, just drop us a line directly. Let us know what we can do to improve. We're here for you
Absolutely.
guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I wanted to touch on, we have an investigation coming up. I'm not going to say where, but we will be doing a podcast on location.
We will.
That's going to be fun.
I'm so excited.
We could hopefully get some EVPs
Yes.
during the podcast.
Yes.
Would be amazing,
How
wouldn't
awesome
it?
would that be?
Do you guys? So we have 6 mics, right? We only have 5 people that usually sit in on a podcast, but we do have 6 mics. So let us know. Would you guys like us to set up a hot mic in this location?
On its own, by itself.
By
Yeah.
itself.
On its own, by itself.
Isolated.
And see what we can kind of get. See if anybody wants to come and talk.
See if any ghosts want to
Growls.
pop on and
Yeah.
Yeah.
join our story.
Chime in.
And then you guys can find us on Instagram at coldspot_paranormal_research.
Correct.
And we will see you later.
Stay ghosty, my peeps. Thank you for listening to the Paranormal Peeps podcast. You can find us on social media at Twitter at CPR Paranormal, on Facebook at Paranormal Peeps Podcast and Cold Spot Paranormal Research. And you can find us on Instagram at coldspot_paranormal_research.